Hi, it's Maggie the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your August 2018 mid-month general readings. I have a piece of hair sticking straight up there. All right, I guess it just wants to. Thank you for joining us here today, and welcome to any newcomers. Thank you for all those of you who continue to like, share, subscribe, and share my channel. And thank you always to all of my clients out there, regular and new, for keeping me so busy with personal one-on-one readings. It's an honor and a pleasure. And if any of you are interested in a personal one-on-one reading with me, you can get more info and my contact details by clicking on the description bar of all the videos I post, or by going to my YouTube channel's homepage and clicking on that little About button. You can email me directly at maggie1maguire@gmail.com. I'd be delighted to work with you. I can usually get back to you within the same day or the first 24 hours of your initial contact with more info. And turnaround time for scheduling readings live or recorded is pretty quick as well, almost always within a couple of weeks period of time. So if you're interested, send me an email. We'll go from there. You can also find me on the smartphone app Instantgo for quick answers to the quick, easy questions too, and that link is also provided. I do a wide variety of readings in all areas of life. Okay, let's move right into this reading. General readings are tricky because they can always resonate a little differently. They will resonate a little differently for everyone watching in details and specifics, although the energy and advice always remains the same. But if you know your rising and your moon sign, watch those videos as well. They can provide additional clarification. This reading is for the air sign of Aquarius for August 2018, the last half of August. So we're looking at the last couple of weeks here for Aquarius, our lovely water bearers, Aquarians. All right, Aquarius, let's see what's in store for you for the remainder of August. We have the Three of Wands, followed by the Six of Swords. We have the Page of Pentacles, followed by the Magician. And from the bottom of the deck, your overall energy and guidance is the Ten of Wands. Well, it feels like there's some overlapping energy here, Aquarius. Something, your overall energy is something coming to an end, and that something looks like it's been a bit of a burden for you, but that's what your crowning card from the bottom of the deck is, the Ten of Wands. Your crowning card represents the overall focus, the overall energy and focus of the time we're looking at, the last half of August, and also advice and guidance too. Tens in the tarot represent cycles ending, something coming to an end or coming to an achievement and a culmination phase so it can transition into something else. Wands is fire energy. In the tarot, this is the energy of creation, change, movement, action, power. It's very fast moving energy, typically very forward moving, very fluid, very dynamic. And it's usually about, building things. It's usually about intense things, passionate, energetic things. It can be creative and artistic things, or things that have to do with career or projects. Typically things that represent, fire energy represents the energy we put into things and the emotions that we feel around things that are continuous and building in the tarot. So tens represent cycles ending. So something is coming to an end with the Ten of Wands here, and it is a heavy burden, or has been a heavy burden, or it represents something that you've put a lot of work and effort into over a period of time, because I always get a long-standing feeling about the Ten of Wands, meaning that whatever it is, it started off as 1 or 2 wands and then eventually became 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. So it's so heavy that he can't even stand up straight over it. He's bowed over, but he's at the end of it. You can see that his head is up and he's looking at his destination, that place where he or she can lay down his burden and stand up and take a deep breath and be free of it. So that's the overall energy and focus for the remainder of August 2018, Aquarius, is something coming to an end, whether it's an actual cross you've had to bear or something you've just been working at, and it's become a real challenge and very burdensome to you, or a long-standing situation that's coming to an end as well. I feel overlapping energy because there's also some nice things, small but nice things, beginning to manifest too. It's kind of like there's this overlapping energy of you're completing something, you're in the end process of completing something, but in that process you've also begun something new. You're looking forward into a new direction at something. We have around the middle of the month or so. Time, as I always say, is fluid. Some of you is going to be a little earlier in the month, some of you a little later. we have around the middle of the month the Three of Wands and the Six of Swords. So the Three of Wands, Wands again is that fire energy, very fluid, action-oriented energy. But out of all of the very fluid energy of the cards of the suit of Wands and the tarot, the Three of Wands is actually a more passive, gestative, waiting energy. It's a card about waiting for your ship to come in, or watching your ship to come in, and it represents that you have put in some initial work and some laid the groundwork for some things, because we're still fairly early on in the path. Definitely looks like something has come to an end with that Ten of Wands. But if tens are completion, the three represents still being kind of in the early part of the first part of a new path. The wands that are planted in the ground behind him and the one he's holding on to represent initial work that he's done, like he's laid a foundation for something, he's put in some footwork to build something, and he's waiting to see how things are going to play out. So there's a gestative kind of waiting, almost waiting energy about this. It's still movement, and in the upright position, it represents seeing the beginning of seeing things start to manifest. And there's things on the front of this tarot card. Everything on a tarot card is symbolic, absolutely everything, from the people to the symbols to the implements, the colors, the designs, everything. You could spend 20 hours just looking at one tarot card. His ship coming in is, it's difficult sometimes to say whether it's going out or coming in, but he's definitely, I feel like you started something new as something was ending, Aquarius. And you're starting to see, even as something is cycling to a close, you're starting to see the beginnings of manifestations of something else in a positive way. Because the Three of Pentacles in the upright implies that he's waiting for the ship to come in. He's watching it. He's wondering what's going to be on it because he's done some work already. He's already started something new. And the implication is it's seeing smaller goals on the way to having a big goal realized. So it's the beginning of manifestation. And with it comes that sort of hopeful, positive feeling, which really helps, because I feel this ending has been somewhat sad for you, whatever it is, because the Three of Wands is clarified and accompanied by the Six of Swords, which is a card of peace and healing and restoration. It's also a card that implies you have left something behind you. If you could see the water behind the boat that she's in, it would be very choppy and turbulent and, full of waves. But as you can see, the water that she's moving into is very peaceful and placid and serene. It's a card of peace, restoration, and healing. And healing has its up days and its down days too. Some days may be quite good, and some days there still may be some pain involved. But overall, you're generally moving through that. She's left the worst of it behind her, or he. She's not quite to the other shore yet and on solid ground, but she's definitely moving towards that. It's a transitional card, meaning you've left something behind you. You're not quite to where you want to be yet, but you're definitely moving towards them there. And there's a sense of peace and healing and restoration. It's a healing card. And sometimes there's pain involved with healing too. And it makes sense clarifying the Three of Wands, because you've done some initial work. You're leaving something behind, and you're in the middle of a healing process, and you're starting to see you're beginning to see the manifestations of something in a positive way. Now, what this thing, and obviously whatever it is that you're leaving behind you was weighing very heavily, or has been weighing very heavily on you. So what this is, a general reading, it's difficult to say. I feel a sense of a bit of a sadness or bittersweet nostalgicness around this, which means that there's some emotional attachment to what you're leaving behind. Some of you, it could be a relationship. Some of you, it could be I almost get like you're leaving one job that you really enjoyed, but you're moving into another job or another career path, or maybe going from school into a formal career path. And you really maybe partly enjoyed or fully enjoyed what you were leaving behind. So there is some sadness as you're moving ahead, even though you are seeing some positive manifestations of this healing path you've been on. But I feel like whatever you're leaving behind, whether it's a relationship or a course of education, for some reason I'm getting that for some people, or one job for another job, or you finished a project, that maybe turned out to be much more heavy and burdensome and challenging than you thought, or a relationship. There's some sadness attached to it, because I almost feel like whatever's leaving behind, there's part of it maybe that didn't work out the way you hoped, or didn't work out exactly as you wanted to. So that's kind of interesting. When I look at your balance of elemental energy, which I do when I first lay cards down to see you know, if there's a preponderance or more elemental energy in one area or another, you have 2 wands, 1 pentacles, 1 swords, and 1 major arcana card of the magician. So there's no cup card, which is water energy, which is more emotional and feelings and relationship issues. So I think for the majority of you, it's less around like love and romance kind of issues and more around leaving something else behind while there are emotions tied up into it. And for some of you, it could be a relationship. I feel like there's other things going on here. For some of you too, I get that you are... I feel like you're striking out on your own in some way. And it could be, I don't know, if it could be for some of you, you might be leaving home for the first time. You might have a child that's leaving home, or the last child leaving home. Maybe that's where some of that sadness and nostalgia is coming from too. But it feels like recently in this ending process has been kind of emotionally challenging for you, regardless of what the specifics are. Emotionally and in your thoughts and minds too, because swords is air energy, and it's about what goes on in our heads, our belief systems and ideas and things like that too. How we look at things, truth and clarification. But you're healing. You're healing from something painful, or you're coming out of something that's been maybe had a lot of effort, very challenging, very taxing for you, and you're kind of moving through that as well. Some of you, it could be health issues as well. Maybe you've been sick or ill for a long time, or you've been dealing with a major health issue or situation, but you're finally beginning to recover. You're finally seeing positive things happening, and you're moving through that process. And I feel like a lot of you are learning that you are more powerful and more capable than you maybe previously thought you were or believed you were. Because towards the end of August 2018, we have the Page of Pentacles and the Magician. Both apparently different energies, but one kind of leading into the other, which I like. Pentacles is earth energy, so it's practical, solid, earth, concrete energy, and it often represents things in our life that we can see and touch and feel, tangible things like money, finances, property, resources, school, job, etc. Or the efforts and results, tangible efforts and tangible results we put into other areas, that are more emotional or relationship oriented. Pages represent young people or children. And again, some of you, this could be centered around a child or a young person, whether it's a son or a daughter, or another family member, or a young person that you felt attached to. They could be leaving, going out on their own, or branching out on their own. And there's a sense of sadness about that for you as well, because they're moving on, and there could be a bit of empty nest syndrome going on there. So pages can represent young people or messages. They always represent being at the introductory phase or something, because pages are young and youthful. They have that student apprenticeship energy. They're just starting off. The Page of Pentacles represents being at the beginning, just beginning to come to an understanding and awareness of how something really works in a practical way. The Page of Pentacles can represent somebody who, grew up at home and went to college, but was still at home or somewhat dependent. And now they're out in the real world, and they're just starting to get kind of a clue as to what it's like to live in the real world, day to day, pay rent, mortgage, work your job, save money, all of that kind of stuff. But it represents kind of being at the beginning, because it's the Page of Pentacles, being at the beginning of kind of understanding how something how something actually works in a practical way. But there's a real sense of starting to learn. You're on a new path of learning. Now it's clarified by the Magician, who's way down at the other end of the path. Major Arcana card, divine timing and orchestration, significant, profound energies. The Magician is a very independent card. I always kind of look at the Magician as the entrepreneur of the tarot. He started out as a page, as everybody does. And he's worked long and hard. He has a long road behind him. He's learned a lot from trial and error, success, failure, triumph, defeat, everything. And now he's finally reached a point in his craft where he has mastered everything. What does he do? He creates for his audience. So you can see he's juggling each of the primary symbols from each of the 4 suits in the tarot, which means that he has learned and struggled through each of them and has finally reached mastery. So he can take whatever he wants to do, whatever he can imagine that he wants, whatever goals he wants to set, he's able to manifest them, and he knows he can. He has the skills, the experience, and the knowledge to build, create, and manifest whatever he wants. It's a very powerful, very independent, self-empowered sort of energy. In fact, if the magician has a challenge, sometimes he has a challenge in working with other people, because he's walked his own path for a long time. He has his own way of doing things, and that's the best way for it to work. So why would he compromise or negotiate with somebody else? So sometimes that's a magician's challenge too. So, and it clarifies the Page of Pentacles. So it feels like you or someone close to you, but I feel like for some of you, it's you. You're at the beginning of understanding how something is going to work. Some of you, it may be you may have gone back to school, or you may be at the beginning of learning something new. It feels like you're at the beginning of learning how something works, whether it's actual school or college, or you're starting a new job, or you're re-entering the workforce, or something of that kind. It feels like you're at the introductory place, a starting place, and you're realizing that you have a lot to learn, but how it's actually going to work together. And it's actually going to lead you, for those of you who are starting a new path and you may be feeling a little doubtful or in some self-doubt or anxiety, you are working towards the energy of this magician, of becoming a very powerful, independent, entrepreneurial, successful person who's able to build and manifest whatever he wants to, because of the dedication and the time that he's put into it. The Page of Pentacles, too, out of all four of the pages, the Page of Pentacles might be the slowest because he's governed by Earth. He's not as fast as the Page of Wands, or the Page of Swords, or the Page of Cups, or as fluid as the Page of Cups. But he will see the job done from beginning to end. He understands that he's at, or she is at the beginning of the path, but step by step he's going to achieve it and work his way towards becoming the magician. This is what the magician started off as, and this is what he ends up as. Realizing that he is more powerful than he thinks, than he previously thought. Let me just take another look here. I get this strong energy, Aquarius, that's kind of emotional, psychological too. The details of it, of course, in a general reading are always going to vary. Whatever it is that's coming to an end, for those of you, it's a way of looking at something, a way of looking at yourself, and maybe a way of looking at what you're capable of doing. Previously, you may have thought, oh, I can't, you fantasize or dream about something, but you think, oh, I can't do it because it's too late, or I'm not smart enough, or I'm too old, or whatever. But you started to do something new. And this, for some of you, it's this mindset, this way of looking at something, or having to carry something for so long is coming to an end. And you're starting to see something else positive begin to manifest. You're still in the beginning phases of it, but there's a real healing feeling from it. It almost kind of feels like maybe a bunch of different versions of coming out of a mindset or a situation or a relationship or an environment where you weren't believed in, or you weren't encouraged in some way, and you're stepping out of that. You're having some courage. You're starting to do some things for yourself, and you're starting to see some progress and some success. And even though you know you still have a long way to go, you're beginning to realize that you can become this magician if you're willing to put in the effort and the step-by-step, discipline and dedication to the path. That's what it kind of feels like. It almost feels like you're coming out of an environment or a relationship or a situation, or could even be job environment or something, where it was kind of damaging for you or harmful, almost in an emotional, psychological way, but you're coming out of that because there's a sense of healing, and with that healing there's a sense of something having been painful. I'm just not sure what it is, because I have a lot of things swirling around and none of them is coming quite clear, but it feels more emotional and psychological, even though there's no cup cards here. You do have 2 wands and a pentacles and swords. So we have building things, we have the practical work, and we have thoughts and ideas and belief systems here. It could be a romance related relationship stuff, but I'm not feeling that. Although what you've left behind may be that relationship. But it feels like you're growing in self-confidence because you're maybe setting some small goals, but you're realizing those goals and they're giving you more faith and confidence to go on. You're on your path to becoming the magician. So really interesting. Be interesting to see the feedback on this one. It's a beautiful reading. It's a softer and it does reading, and it does have a more it has a quieter feel to it. And again, it is tinged with a little bit of sadness, but it's attached to something that you're leaving behind, and something I think that needs to be left behind because you're moving away from it represents healing. So interesting reading. So Aquarius, that pretty much sums up your August 2018 mid-month general reading. I hope that you found it helpful. Again, if any of you are more interested in a personal one-on-one reading with me, feel free to email me directly at maggie1mcguire@gmail.com. I'd be most happy to work with you. You can get that information, my contact details, by clicking on the little About button on my YouTube channel's homepage, or clicking on the description bar of all the videos I post. I do readings in love and romance, reconciliation, compatibility, career work and finance, investment readings. I also do 6 and 12-month overviews if you want to take a look at what's coming in all the main areas of your life over the next 6 or 12 months. I do channeled messages from passed on loved ones, and gift readings as well for friends and family. So shoot me an email if you're interested and we'll go from there. Turnaround time is pretty timely. I will see you all again in a couple of weeks, Aquarius, for the September 2018 general readings. And until then, as always, I wish you joy, peace, blessings, and a happy life. Take care, and I hope to see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.